Hello, and welcome to the Power of Firsts program. As part of Deloitte's Management Consulting Partnership with the International Olympic Committee, we're thrilled to bring you an inside look into what powers the Olympic Games. My name is Abbi Leazott. I am the Director of Business Operations for Deloitte's top Olympic and Paralympic partnership. I'm joined by Christophe Dubie, the Executive Director of Games Delivery at the IOC, and John Skowron, Deloitte's Vice Chair for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. This is another Future of panel. Today we're diving into innovation and how it is impacting the delivery of the Olympic Games. Let's get started. To start, the Olympic Games delivery, as well as major transformations for clients across industries, requires extensive planning years in advance. In parallel, the rate of technological innovation is accelerating at an exponential rate. When planning so far out, Christophe, how do you stay ahead of the technology innovation curve?
Abby, thank you so much for having me on the program. And how do we do it? By having the greatest possible partnerships. You know, in this organization and in the Olympic movement, you have a lot of knowledge and expertise on how to put up a sporting event. Are we designed to look into the future of technology? Certainly not. And this is why our partnership is so powerful. If you take the combination of a company that wide and that deep like Deloitte, and you take then sport and sports organization with what we are designed to do, this is the ideal combination to get the greatest possible host for the games. And God knows we have a formidable lineup: Paris, Los Angeles, Brisbane, all with their characteristic, Milano awarding 2030 and 2034. But that's for the landscape. Then to fill it and to anticipate what happens, it takes John and it takes all your competent team around.
John, how do you see this playing out in other industries?
Well, so Abby, thanks for having me as well. And Christophe, thanks for spending a bit of time with us. The partnership is so important, as you've talked about, right? As people are looking at, and other industries and sports industries are looking at innovation, they're really looking at it in two ways. One, from more of a platform perspective, in the sense of how to build a platform that is extendable and expandable and can adjust to business models quickly. Because the business models over the next 10 years will change. The way the games are delivered will change. And the technology platform really needs to adapt to that. Additionally, you need to create an environment and a structure that supports innovation and allows for innovation to take place, right? So things like R&D and things around pilots and things around innovation labs, all embedding that into the process so innovation can constantly be integrated into the overall environment and over the platform through the life of the games and as the games evolve.
So Paris 2024 is the 33rd edition of the Olympic Games. With such an established history, there are surely lots of lessons learned and an established precedent. Christophe, how does the IOC help enable the new organizing committees to learn from their past predecessors in order to move forward?
Right, and I think this is a nice segue into one of your statements and the platform. How do we learn from Paris? I think it's learn from Paris and more. Paris is the result of strategic developments that happened at the IOC 10 years ago. It's the vision of Agenda 2020. But also the creativity and the innovation of the French team. You know, it's probably the French touch with a longer-term strategy. But that only works if you have stable bases. And this is where the platform and the systems must be well tested and solid in anything that you need in the background, right? It takes stable policies and procedures, technology, obviously, stable security and transport operations. Once you have that, you can innovate. And if you don't, if Paris could not have built up on London, Rio, Tokyo, you cannot really innovate. So you have to have very strong bases. This is where the partnership is really helping. Everything we design together in the future is to build solid founding blocks, and at the same time you can then innovate. So Paris is the result of everything from the past and helping us to project into the future.
Absolutely, and you also have so many organizing committees working in concert with each other in parallel with Paris 24, Milano Cortina is
Oh,
already
yes.
working, etc.
Oh, yes. And guess what? When you're a new organizing committee, you're happy to have us, this little round table here around, because it's very overwhelming. It's always a first. Even for those that have done it before, it's the first in Paris and in 24. And it's really a big, complex, sophisticated event.
Another challenge is around the cost constraints and financial sustainability of the Games. John, how are you looking at innovation for how to improve the sustainability of the Games in that aspect?
As I've gotten involved in the Olympic ecosystem over the last 3 years, I'm in awe of what Christophe and his team pull off. Each one of these games has common threads, but it's also unique to that particular games, right? It's the first game, Paris 24, as the IOC has a tendency to say. And that concept of making each one of these games unique is so important. At the same point in time, how do you actually drive efficiency and effectiveness across the games is a challenge. And I think you can think about it as configuration, the actual offering itself, and the experience that it creates. And so I think, as we look at innovation from a Deloitte perspective, those are three swim lanes or three areas that we focus. And again, if I look at the games of the future, how do we actually create more configurations that's standard? We have a term that we've started to talk about, OCOG in a box. How do you create more standardization and allow the OCOGs to create and focus on their mission of creating that unique games in that particular location, and really not spend as much time and effort on what I'll call back office systems that support the games, but are not unique to those games. I think the other thing is again, if you think about the offerings, the offering itself, the games will be fairly standard. I think, again, a comment that I've heard in the IOC is the 100-meter dash will be the 100-meter dash. Mm-hmm. Everything around that will change throughout the concept, but the core offering is something that is very pure and is really the North Star of the entire IOC and the entire Olympic ecosystem. But the experiences will change. The experiences for the athletes, the experience for the fans, the experience for the volunteers, the workers, and all will drive. And those are all areas of innovation that, as we start to look at the games of the future, those areas in standardization, driving consistency, will make it more efficient and more effective and drive down costs ultimately.
There are so many components of the Games that you just listed off. Just recently, the IOC launched the Olympic AI agenda, something that Deloitte helped to develop that strategy for. Mm-hmm. Christophe, what possibilities do you envision AI playing in transforming on-the-ground delivery for the Olympic Games?
Abbi, immense. but many will talk more eloquently about the opportunities. But first, I should start by saying we see this as an opportunity, and it's true that in London, the panelists were speaking about the various options for the future and where we see AI having a positive effect. So from talent detections to one thing I was shocked about is how some of the athletes do suffer on social media. So the curation of content will be very important as well. For us, when it comes to games, John, it's all about the first swim lane that you describe. Looking at building blocks using AI, especially when it comes to planning. There is no way, knowing that the 100-meter dash will remain the 100-meter dash, that there is not a better approach to putting hundreds of people around tables and plans to describe what is the best way to generate an operating plan, which basically is where everybody should be, at which point in time, in which location, and then figuring out anything that can go wrong. And there you have your operating plan for the good days and the tough days. And this is done across industries currently, airports and some of these mega structures where AI, especially with digital twinning, allows you to play with different scenarios. John, I'm certain that part of the toolkit in the future or the OCOG in the box, as you call it, will be fueled by AI. Absolutely. We will probably have less people to plan, same number of people for the experience, and I'm sure we'll go back to the experience, but far less people to plan. We have to learn from the past, inform any type of AI software, and help us deliver the first cut of all the operating plans across the board. That I'm certain we're going to do it, and probably sooner rather than later.
Sean, anything to add?
Yeah, Abby, you mentioned the AI agenda. Back in April, the IOC announced the AI agenda, and in London, and it was a real milestone in the sense that I think it actually helped the IOC position AI and their vision of AI and how it applies to sports as a bit of a North Star, because it's not just the operations that we're talking about, it's across the entire gamut. It's performance, it's judging, it's scoring, it's across all of those various aspects of the Olympic Games and sports in general. And I think the IOC taking that position really was helpful. It was a privilege for the firm to be involved in that process and to be one of the contributors to that process, because I think it's so exciting that the IOC is taking that leadership position around how AI will play out in sports in a very effective, efficient, and ethical way.
Can I interject here?
Of course.
When you say modest contributor, no. You really helped us frame all of this, and the result that we saw in London was thanks to all of you guys being involved. One thing, and I don't know whether there will be a link to the AI agenda launch, but I thought the panel with Nadia Comaneci was superb, and discussing about what it looks like in the future, but also reflecting on her own experience back in '76 was a memorable moment for all of us. At least I was old enough at the time that she's still the ultimate role model, and I thought she was great on the panel. So just a teaser for anyone that wants to look into it.
Yeah, every component of the panels from Lindsey Vonn through Nadia were amazing.
Oh yeah, and Lindsey Vonn, to the point I was mentioning before on social and how tough it can be. You try to be the best person that you can, be a role model, but you still have a lot of difficult content to read.
Yeah, absolutely. So last question. What aspects of Olympic Games delivery are you most excited to see evolve over the next 10 years or so?
That's a great question. I guess for me, from a personal standpoint, I mean, one of the things we're so excited about the partnership with the IOC is it really allows us as a firm to support the Olympic movement. I mean, the IOC has a mission of bringing the world together through sport, and it's very exciting for our firm to be part of that and to help that move forward. And when I look at that and I think about our capabilities to bring that to the IOC, and with their knowledge of the games and their knowledge of sports and their knowledge of the Olympic movement, looking for opportunities to drive innovation into the games delivery, I think is going to be really exciting. I think that will take the form of many, many different areas and actual areas, but just that general sense of making the games more efficient, making the games more effective, and allowing potentially more and more host cities to participate in that is really exciting to me.
Christophe, what about you?
Yeah, all the above. Wouldn't say it differently. The one thing I could add is if we turn back in 10 years and in exponential times, as you opened it, we have embedded anything that allows for the experience to be a great one for athletes to start with, but volunteers, spectators, the host communities. And we have contained all of this within the economics of the games that remain positive in the future, despite the complexity of the world it is unfolding right now. It would have meant that our partnership has been a very successful one. And I've got no reason to doubt that it will be, right? But that, I think, is lofty objectives. Maintain the appeal of the value proposition for anyone involved while containing the cost, the complexity of the games to where it is to date, which is very high. Above today would be probably over the limit. So if we can contain all of this with everything we've discussed, I think we have been very successful.
Thank you, Christophe.
Thank you, Abbi.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
On behalf of Deloitte, I'd like to thank you for being with us today. We heard several interesting themes during today's conversation on innovation and how it is impacting the delivery of the Olympic Games. In short, the Olympic Games are delivered from a set of finite resources, time, money, and people, requiring an innovative mindset to design a more sustainable approach to delivering the Olympic Games. Innovation and technology can accelerate the learning curve for new organizing committees, and an optimized delivery platform can streamline delivery from games to games. Innovative partnerships, such as the one between the IOC and Deloitte, combine the expertise from years of delivering successful Olympic Games with a broad, strategic, and innovative approach to shape a more efficient future for the Olympic Games. If you'd like to watch this panel playback and others, head over to our LinkedIn Live. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon.